a seat to the bar and join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tansen, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk. Welcome to the stream of consciousness that is Free Flow Rambling. For today's episode, we've decided to do little to no cuts for your listening enjoyment. This particular recording day was very much on the rambling side. We thought it would be fun to have one episode where you get to see us in all our naked vocal glory. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy this ride. It is a random one. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 9.11, Killer Solo, where we are covering the novel Summer Night. My name is Tansen, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
Romeo.
Where for our... No. It was fun the first time.
I just do R for a really long time. If I'm just spelling out, this is a song that never ends on it.
Just get worried if she just starts doing funny. Sierra and...
Sierra.
Oh.
October,
Sierra, October, Sierra, October, Sierra, October.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 14. Elidee leads Dresden to Undertown and is then guided by Grimalkin to the court of the Winter Lady. The court dances until one of the band members plays himself to death, at which point Lady Maeve of the Winter Court acknowledges Dresden. Harry immediately asks her if she's killed the Winter Knight, but Maeve will not answer without making a bargain first.
So it starts off kind of funny. They go with their little LED fairy, and they go through alleys and up a fire escape and across the roof and down the other side and through a junk-cluttered abandoned lot and then to the bedway. And Harry's like, maybe I should have asked for someone that could read a street map and lead us in the car.
The scenic route.
Right? It reminds me of the old, like, Family Circus cartoons, and every time they would show going somewhere, it would be, like, the little dotted lines or whatever, and when they'd show the kids, and it would be, like, these random, like, you know, going out the door, and then, like, a loop around a flower, and then across the lawn, and then up the tree, and then, you know, the way little kids will just wander, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is basically the route they took. Yeah, it's like, to see the little thing going all the way all over this little map of Chicago until they end up, like, next door to the alley they started in or something. Yeah, so they end up down in some old abandoned. There's an ice cream truck, people. I'm sorry, outside. We have to pause this podcast. There's literally an ice cream truck going. We'll be back in just a moment.
I got it. I have to play solitaire again.
You got the solitaire? You recorded the what?
I just finally hit the highest high score you can get.
Oh, okay.
What is the highest high score you can get?
8,500. Maybe if you can go extra fast.
Now, landscape it.
I should.
I'd rather you go get ice cream from the ice cream truck. That's far more exciting than your solitaire high score.
I've done nothing but play solitaire for a month.
Obviously.
I guess I can go back to Sudoku.
Okay, we're back from our ice cream break. So yeah, was it just the regular commuter tunnels? Was it like the train tunnel thingies?
I had to look at that paragraph a couple of times to sort of figure it out, because I thought it was like the regular commuter tunnels, and then it gets to this sort of older section is how I took it.
But I just wasn't 100% sure if the commuter tunnels meant just like, because it refers to the pedway, so is this just like our plus 15 in reverse? We have walkways that are 15 feet above downtown, and you can cross building to building without having to go outside, and these are just like underground walkways? Or is this like a commuter tunnel, as in Jessica, we can hear you typing on your phone as you do that?
Oh, awkward.
Is that what I'm hearing? I'm like,
That's what you're hearing. Yeah, that's her keyboard.
I didn't hear anything.
Or is this like train tunnel, commuter tunnels, where you like go down to the subway, but then overall it's like just for the...
See,
the other further is the pedway, which sounds like...
is pedway an actual thing? Like, if we looked that up, like, would we...
Yes, I think that is. I feel very much like I did see a picture of the pedway.
It's just a footway built for pedestrians in an urban area. That's
Yeah.
what a pedway is.
Oh.
So it could be anything, basically.
Well, but like I say, so when he refers to these commuter tunnels, is it one or the other, or both, or...
Vehicular or walkway?
Basically, the way that I imagined it is that he's going to underground. So it's probably just like you go down into the subway tunnels, and then you just like go into the restricted no access area, and then you're in Undertown. Like,
Right.
So the fact that it's called like the pedway system, because that obviously indicates pedestrian. So the commuter tunnels are not necessarily the pedway, and the pedway is something else that leads to the commuter tunnels. Do you see? This is what I'm getting at.
my point is that doesn't matter. He's going to Undertown.
I think at one point he describes going through a construction site, so it's all sorts of confusing for...
Yeah.
Like, I really...
Yeah, the ferry
I had
doesn't-
to read it a few times. I was like, what?
This
Where
is like
are they?
as the crow flies.
So yeah, this is, I think this is definitely like our plus 15 system in reverse, because it says savvy Chicagoans and visitors can make their way around the loop without ever emerging above ground. That's thanks to the pedway, one of the most visited parts of subterranean Chicago. It's a series of passageways that connects 50 office buildings, shopping centers, train stations, and parking structures.
Oh, it's totally
A
the plus
particularly
15.
handy route during Chicago's winters. So yeah, so whereas we build ours above ground and have big glass tunnels between buildings that you can walk across and see everybody driving around, they did theirs underground, and you can...
Okay.
And ours are also partially, so you don't have to venture outside in winter.
Okay.
Great to busk, too.
Or just not
So
deal with
They just don't
crossing
get
traffic and things, yeah. So,
my work is like connected to what you could essentially say is a strip mall.
okay.
But all the businesses, including like the grocery stores and the apartment buildings and all of the shops and things, we're all connected by the underground parking lots.
Yep.
So, when one place has a fire alarm, due to the connection of the parking lots to all businesses, every single store gets the fire alarm. So every single store has to evacuate if one of the shops gets fire alarm, as we have all learned many, many times during the construction process, as they are still building the strip mall.
And everything keeps going off.
Everything keeps
regularly.
going off, and they have to test things for each and every shop as they slowly go up. So, if all of Chicago is connected underground, I understand why all of Chicago has burnt down many, many times.
One of the many reasons. All those flammable gas swamps, too, from the marsh they built on, but...
Well, hey.
That must be really
Can't all be perfect.
My sympathies, because we had that a while ago, where like testing alarm systems and things, and yeah, it's really freaking annoying to have it go off like 10 times a day. So anyway, so I guess it's a mixture of like pedestrian tunnels, and that also lead to the train tunnels and whatever. So yes, whatever part they finally get to a danger keep out spot, and walk right in, because that's what you do every time you see a danger keep out sign in a tunnel underground somewhere in the city where you live.
Oh, look! It's a dark tunnel where I can't see anything. Let's go.
Everybody knows that's where the best adventures are.
Yes. Dresden brings his pentacle out and lights the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just thinking, because I think this is the first time he sort of brings it out in this book, so this is the first time we get the little quick description of it and stuff like that. And for some reason, it made me think back to... So it's not a particularly complicated piece of jewelry. It's simply the circle with the 5 stars. So you've got some little small corner pieces in between the points and things. When he sent this thing flying through a Lucaru in book 2...
How did he get it back is what I want to know. Did it embed itself? Like, I wonder.
No, I feel like he said it went through him. So he had to go poke around the field and find it.
Oh, it went through him.
I think it went through him.
Oh, I had just the gory...
That it embedded itself.
Of him pulling it out of the Lucaru. And,
Yeah, no, I would have to go back and see the exact description, but what I feel is my remembered...
Not all of them have...
When what?
Yeah. I said my remembered... How I envision it is I'm thinking it went through him. So regardless of whether he pulled it out or it went through him, point being, that thing still passed through the body of something. So admittedly, it's not super duper complicated or complex or intricate, but at the same time, there are a few little... How much, like, blood and guts and gore was trapped, dried on, gunked into that pentacle? Like, did he have to get in there with, like, the toothpicks, and did he just, like, dunk it and, like, dissolve it and clean it? Did he, you know what I mean? I don't know why this suddenly popped up then, but this is, like, the first, introduction to the pentacle in this one, and for some reason I was just thinking about that, and I'm like...
have an image of, like, guts all over it.
Well,
Gross.
it would be, right? I mean, think about it. If you sent this thing, Tanzan, like, pulled her out, and we're looking at her little pentacle necklace thingy here. So I'm dangling it for all you people that can't actually see me. But I mean, yeah, if you sent this, you whipped it around like a bolo thingy and sent it flying, and it literally penetrated through the entire body of a being, or got stuck and you had to pull it out, it's going to be pretty...
And if it went through,
gunky.
that chain is gross.
The whole thing is pretty, right? And I mean, I've had Jessica come and, like, ask me to just remove, like, a couple of stray hairs that got tangled and knotted in a necklace, and she can't handle that. If that thing was covered in, like, literal...
Viscera.
Right?
First of all, I'm not patient at all, and I won't even try. But Harry doesn't have a mom, so...
Also true.
So he's had to get used to cleaning his own jewelry, okay?
Oh, God save me from my life. It's nice to know I'm still useful and relevant.
Yes, for now.
It's actually really funny because the 16-year-old that we've hired to do some work for us this summer literally had a necklace the other day that got in a knot. She's like, oh, I hate this. I have such trouble getting it out. I'm like, hand it over. I have spent years untangling my children's jewelry. Mostly, whether because they can't or because they just refuse to try in the first place.
Refuse to try in the first
So
place.
I had to unknot the little fine chain of her little necklace that she just got for her birthday.
And then I snapped the chain.
So
not hers.
That was not part of the story.
No.
No.
Then I found
Maybe
$20.
that's why I thought of this today.
to say that.
What did you
Yeah!
say?
And then I found $20. Did Amber ever tell you that? Like, this is the story? Like,
It's the most genius thing in the world. It honestly is.
This does ring a vague bell now,
she
but
had
I'm
a
not
friend that,
remembering.
like, would ramble, and then she caught herself, and she realized that there was no point to her story. She would just end it by saying, and then I found $20. And people would go, oh, cool. Even though she didn't find $20.
Okay, that shit in the world, right?
I might need to teach that one to my boss. You think I'm bad. Like I say, at least I say all mine at top speed, so you don't have to sit there for very long. She has just as many stories with just as many tangents and repeats them just as often, but she talks much slower and will not be rushed and I literally lose hours of a workday because I can't tell my boss to shut up and go away. And I'm like, hey,
yes,
if she
but
wants
they
to
are
pay me
paying.
to sit and listen to her stories, I will sit. But honestly, like, my hours are from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock. It is not uncommon for me to actually, like, properly, fully start doing my job until anywhere between, like, 8:30 and 9:30. Often more and around, like, that 9 o'clock mark. first half an hour to an hour of the day is just finding out what she did the night before and this and that and talking about what may or may not need to be done or what she remembered overnight about this. I was like, I'm like, okay. Like I say, it's not all bad, but sometimes I'm like, I really do have stuff I need to like do. Like, if you actually want to get caught up and get ahead, I actually need to work on some of this at some point.
The pentacle flew towards the loop, grew like a comet, incandescent white, and struck the creature's breast like lightning hammering into an ancient tree. There was a flash of light, too much power unleashed, and a flaring of energy as the mystic substance shattered the loop grew's invulnerability, carving into it, coursed through it in a blinding blue-white shower of sparks. Blue fire erupted from its chest, its black heart's blood ignited into blinding flame, and the creature screamed, arching backwards in agony. There was a sound of thunder, flashes of more light, someone screaming. Maybe it was me. So it doesn't really say that it went through him. It says that, like, Harley stopped being a loop grew, fell to his knees, the silver of my amulet's chain spilled out between his fingers and dangled down his chest. He stared down at the wound for a moment, and then I saw him relax. McFinn looked at me, and in his face, I saw the grief and agony and impotent rage, everything he'd felt during all those years of being unable to control himself, cursed to cause blah, blah, blah. And quiet smile.
Okay, so yeah, I do remember that now with this bill. Okay, so yeah, so basically just embedded in his chest, and he kind of put a hand over it, and then...
So he did the gross part for Harry. He took it out himself.
Well, I was going to say, as his shape... I mean, because the form of the loop guru was so much bigger and thicker than...
Yeah, it wasn't as embedded.
Yeah, so it either just kind of came loose because it hadn't reached to where his quote-unquote human body was in, like, the middle of all that mass, or, yeah, again, it did stick in it, and he just kind of plucked it out. Oh. The ice cream truck is on its way back.
He's back.
That's what I just said.
It's because it's a circle.
Yeah. Now you all know where Tanzan lives.
In the cul-de-sac.
In a city in Alberta, in Canada.
Where they have ice cream trucks.
Cul-de-sac.
And and pedways to stay. And what is elevated pedways.
Plus 15 pedways.
Yeah.
I think plus 15 is probably the dead
The plus 15 would instantly give it away. Instantly.
But it's funny because I know so many people that have no idea why it's called. They're like, when they find out that's why they called it plus 15, they're like, oh, and it's like, yeah, because it's
15 feet in the air.
Yeah. And they're like,
weird.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
I've never thought of it. Like, I just know that they're plus 15s. I never thought to
exactly
why
like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Point.
There you go, Tanzan. You and everyone else now.
Everyone.
Yes.
Don't worry, you are not alone. So Chicago has like elevated trains that they call it. We have like on like an underground walkway, and we have like elevated walkways and like underground trains. So we're like exactly like Chicago, but in reverse.
Yep.
Exactly.
We don't have underground trains as much, though. We've got, like, on-the-ground trains.
Well, some of it goes on the ground, too, but...
It goes, like, under the ground for, like, one stop.
Goes through a cemetery hill.
Yeah.
That's the creepy one.
Yeah.
Is there cemetery on either side?
I like-
I'm assuming
you're just
above
going
it, too.
under
Yeah, the good thing about that one stop, though, is that, like, it can't even maintain power when it goes through it, so
And
the
so it always
entire thing
flickers?
always... No, the whole thing goes completely black for the moment that you go into the cemetery.
Oh.
Because it can't keep the connection, so from both ends it's just complete darkness, and then you're good again.
Yes. She doesn't flicker. It goes like...
Because most of them flicker.
I don't remember that one.
Because it goes underground in a couple spots, and it goes in the air on 2 spots as well.
I have noticed, because you feel... Yeah, now, especially with the Westbrook end of it.
Yeah.
They do... Because I was going to say, it's like, it would always be something like, it would take you a minute to register, because you'd like go into the tunnel or whatever, and then, yeah, it would cut out, and you're like, oh, I'm going... But then it was like... Because usually you're reading or something on the train or whatever, right? And then, yeah, it took me a bit to realize, I was like... No, wait, because the lights inside the cars were... So it, like, we went into the tunnel, and it got dark, but we still had light. And then you reach, like you say, the center point or something of that tunnel, and the inner lights go out, too, and then you are dark
And
for
the
a
whole
minute.
thing is dark.
And then you get... So I was like, oh, yeah, it's not just like, oh, I'm in a tunnel, it's dark. It's like, no, wait, we did have lights when we started this.
Yeah.
That is a haunted tunnel.
Right?
Or it just goes for a while that they can't keep the connection.
It's like
Because the train runs from the string
The
above
overhead.
the train, and the overhead doesn't go through the tunnel.
The overhead
just
strings.
the momentum pushes it through the tunnel from before that.
Until it... They just didn't get permission to run, like cables all through people's, like, coffins. Do you mind
that
if we
cemetery,
stick
though?
this
The
under
zombies did
Grandpa?
That cemetery has been there so long, though, like, there wouldn't be bodies there in the way. It would be dust at this point. Like, they
Well,
could've
okay,
done
but it would still be okay. But it's more the site,
Respect
the
the
spots.
fuck
Yeah,
cares?
like, can we just run our Wi-Fi underground?
You know,
You're cool with
corpses
that,
are
right?
ruining the water, right? That's why we shouldn't be burying anymore. Cemeteries are bad for humanity. Keeping that many dead bodies is ruining our plants and water systems in every city across the globe.
Interesting. I never thought about it like that.
It is. We're running
And there
out of
are
space
a lot
to keep...
that don't, all the. Well, I don't know if I was going to say the Viking funerals, but that might not help because you just lit them on fire and still sent them out to sea. So I guess everything's still going there. But yeah, all the different cultures and things that do different.
Okay, he knows we're recording.
He's like, I'm just going to keep going by and keep getting shout outs. Joke's on you, buddy. They don't actually know where we are. And this won't come out for weeks.
Free advertising. Yeah, this is going to come out when ice cream season is done.
And there's the hot chocolate truck, everybody.
Oh my God, we have gone on every tangent possible today. I was just thinking back
Don't
to
tell Matt.
all of the stuff that we just talked about. How much of this is actually
Cut.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces of it are funny and can be in. I don't know about the whole thing, but I'm sure you know. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know how hard it was to clean that pentacle out, or if you just like dropped it in a thing of Mr. Clean and let it all just dissolve everything out
Bleach.
of it, and was like, okay, I'm good to go again.
Hazmat suit and bleach.
Stuck like the like on bones and things where they use like the flesh-eating bugs to clean corpses. He just like dropped it in there and let them eat all the stuff
he
off
used
it.
fuego on it. He burnt the shit out of that stuff.
Like,
Although
okay,
that
but
doesn't
he
work
said
as
it
well.
wasn't a fire explosion. It probably was just like ash left on that necklace.
Maybe it was. Maybe it didn't come out all gross and gunky. Because I was gonna say, I know when you stick your marshmallow prongs like into the fire to try and cook all that off, it doesn't really come all that clean that easily. It just ends up charring it
Gross.
on there. Like,
I got the chills because I got grossed out.
Roasting werewolves.
roasting werewolves on an open fire. Well, we listen to the ice cream truck go around and around and around.
Like, what? Why is your bonus reel 20 minutes long?
Because we love our patrons. It's all for you.
Free flow rambling.
Definitely conjure by it at your own risk.
Was that in the Necromancer one that I said it in, or was it in this one? I was like, you guys need to free flow rambling, not super succinct people.
Yeah, that must have been necro.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just upholding the brand image.
Right? It's like truth in advertising, people. We
Yeah.
are fully transparent. I almost feel like we need to get a little thing like that now. Make up a little thing where it's like free flow rambling ding.
I know.
And then you can just occasionally insert that, just have it like pop up. You know how they do like little bleeps or like the Batman's like pow, zap. It's like we'll be going on and all of a sudden you'll just, we get to the end of whatever it is, then you'll be just like free flow rambling ding. And like,
I have actually considered, I was playing at the piano, I was like, I want to make a jingle for Unfortunately, I'm not that creative, so it didn't work out. I'm like,
it needs to be like 4 notes. Come on.
It should just be like those little tinkly bells, like dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
It should, but I also feel
Rambling.
that like it needs to be like the bing, or, you know what I mean? Like the Netflix like da-doom, or like the Orbit gum commercials or something where they have like little flashes, like the little ching. Like
You know,
it
the
just-
Netflix ding is just from House of Cards, their very first ever made
I heard that, yeah.
TV show.
Yeah, I think I did hear that. But point being is, it's we just need, it can't just be the little doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, like a fantasy.
Or just play someone on Fiverr.
But yeah, I just feel like it needs that punctuation. Like free flow rambling.
Bumped.
Okay. So he pulls out his
Third paragraph, go.
tentacle.
And it's miraculously clean. This is a fantasy book.
And it's 2 years later, so this wasn't even Grave Peril. This is like full moon. I'm sure you cleaned it up. So yeah, they start going down dark tunnels and hallways, and they get to where it starts getting like
and winding path.
on a dark and stormy night with a little fairy. And then it starts getting into, I think, like, it starts out sort of man-made tunnely and starts getting, like, older and rougher and not so, and then they kind of get to a dead end, And Elidee's just like bopping around and whatever, and he's like, aha, I bet you there's... Oh yeah, he feels it and can get a sense of... So he's like, there must be like a magic doorway here somewhere, or like a hidden doorway, not necessarily like magic. And I think it's...
And we get a little bit of a history while they're walking, too, about how Chicago is
Yeah, I was
sunk.
just going to say, it's either, when they get to this point or as they're walking, And this is
City
funny
within city within city.
Yeah, city beneath city beneath city beneath city, yeah. Well, and that's what Billy's like. He's like, Undertown? Like, I've never heard of it. And Dresden's like, yeah, I must have been working here about 5-6 years before I did. And I'm like, so you just right now?
You learned about it a week ago?
According to the timeline. I'm like,
I learned about it when this fairy, Elidee, told me about it.
But you don't let anybody know. You're just, you're just like, yeah, I knew that, right? Like,
Exactly.
There's that bravado again.
What are you talking about, Billy? You didn't know about Undertown all this time?
Fucking idiot.
But I mean, like, okay, fine. We will give him, it has been like a couple of years by the time the first 3 books have happened now. So, but yeah, it would have been like, basically, you would have just found out about it like at least around Stormfront then, if not like a week ago,
I was say even Stormfront is a little late. I'd say more like around Full Moon Grave Peril to now. Like,
Yeah, well, make up your mind, because you keep saying he came at like 20 and opened
stop yelling at me. I gave my timeline. Just because you can't remember it doesn't mean it's on me.
But you said he like came to Chicago and opened up business around 20, and he's like 25 and like Stormfront. So if he figured out, he said he'd been... I swear that was... You said
but
like
how many years-
25, 26.
How many years was he
Oh my god.
apprenticing with Ragged Angels?
Okay, that's a bit much over the... I believe you have to do like a year's apprenticeship. So as far as I know, I don't think he did more than that with Nick. Christian. But yeah, something like that. Anyways, I don't know. You keep holding him at like 25, like for the first 4 books, even though they're supposed to happen. And then all of a sudden he's like 28. And then I think she's the one that doesn't remember her timeline.
That would definitely be me.
Right? She's stealing your shtick. So yeah.
Okay. 45 years is when he came to Stormfront. Okay? 45 years is when he came to Chicago before Stormfront.
45 years.
4 to 5 years before Stormfront is when he arrived in Chicago.
Okay.
At 20.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay,
yes,
so he's
25
24, 25.
in Stormfront.
And if it was 5 or 6 years, okay, fine. Maybe he didn't discover it until like Grave Peril. Because Full Moon is like 6 months after Stormfront, because that was spring, and then that happens around his birthday.
And Great Peril is exactly 1 year later.
1 year later, okay, so there's like a year and a half.
And then this is like another like 7 or 8 months to July,
like,
June.
2 years or something, yeah. But yeah, so if it was like 5 or 6, then yeah, apparently in like Grave Peril he discovered the underground. Maybe once he sucked all these vampire victims up out of it, he's like, oh shit, there's a whole thing down there.
He went looking for
Popped in with Agatha Hagglethorne, and was like, she's got a whole fucking other Chicago under here.
He was looking for vampire venom antidotes, and he's like, what the fuck is down here?
Right? So yeah, so this is one I think, like I say, it might be somewhat exaggerated, but I feel like this is a real thing where they've got these underground parts of Chicago for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he said there used to be, like, a huge problem with rats and criminals, and Billy's like, but not anymore. It's like, well, the other things ran them out. So there's worse things than criminals and rats down here.
Right. I like the pun. Even though Marsters
Yeah,
ruins the pun.
He doesn't read it, yeah, because we find out, bombs, and what does he say?
There's
He's
goblins, spirits of the earth, worms, riffraff, vampires, trolls. I'm verbatim here, and then he finishes it off, and various fun guy.
Yeah, molds and maybe some leftover radiation.
Yeah.
He's like,
Billy's like, Harry, you're such a fun guy. How did Marsters pronounce fungi?
Fungi, I think.
Fungi?
Because I think fungi is the other one I've heard supposedly, possibly academic or scientisty type people has pronounced it. So it's either fungi or fungi, but he said like fungi or something like that. So then it was just, and he didn't put the right emphasis. Well, I mean, I guess because obviously it didn't match. So
Everybody is fungi fighting.
But yeah, you get molds and fungi and maybe some radiation. He's like, God, you're a fun guy, Harry. And yeah, unfortunately. So kudos to everybody who just read that on their own and made that. Didn't have it warped in their head by the odd inflection of... But yeah, so he finally finds the little groove in the wall and pops it open like a secret bookcase or whatever. And... so Billy's like, all right, let's go. And Harry's like, but wait, there's more. So aside from the rats and the criminals and the fungus and the radiation, there's the fairies that they're about to go see. And they're really not nice. You're better off with the radiation. So they're going to try and trap him and get him into things and making promises and getting gifts. Don't take gifts, don't offer gifts. And Billy's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he's like, dude, they're not going to be like little fancy wrapped boxes. Like, they're gonna, like, entice you to, like, sex and stuff?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, for starters. But
Grow up, Billy!
Anything
Supernatural.
sensual and food, sex,
Money.
beauty, what?
Playing a killer solo.
So yeah, so he goes in a bit more about this and blah, blah, blah. Don't drink anything. Don't eat anything they offer you. Don't accept anything. Don't just sit down and be quiet and shut up and
be a Persephone.
don't be a Persephone. Don't do nothing about nothing because it's all just leads to trouble and badness. So Billy's like, okay, fine. Can we go now? And Harry's all like, okay, I'm still not sure he sufficiently gets it, but whatever, because I don't know if I can make him get it without him experiencing it, so I guess we'll just go. So
It's funny how Harry flip-flops between, like, not wanting to involve certain people in the supernatural world, because he's just like, it's not fair to you, you're not going to understand it, like, explain it to me. He's like, no, I don't have time for that. And other times he's just like, here's the rundown, do you get it? And they're like, no. And he's like, we don't have time for it. Like,
yeah, right. Would it be unfair here to make some comment about typical male or something?
I'm gonna say it's the man and it's the woman. It's the exact, yeah.
Not that I have anything against men. Or stereotypical at all, but as I was saying this the other day at work too, as we listened to like the 20-year-old talk about like the stupid things he did at like 16 about like 3 of them on an ATV at night when they've been drinking and then they're not even coming back through fields or like driving like on the shoulder of the road. And then the guy that's like the first one on it is like drunk, falling asleep, passing out. So the guy in the middle is the one that's actually trying to drive and steer this thing around the guy in front of him. And the third guy's like hanging onto the back. So then he figures it'll be a good idea to put him onto the front rack on the front of the ATV. So they're driving along like that. So he's still like the second person driving around the first guy. The other guy's sitting on the front. And then they're like, oh no, what if like a cop or something comes? So they decide, let's turn off the lights so they can't. I'm like, you're lucky you're alive. And then I just, again, to like the 16-year-old we've got, I'm like, why? I'm like, not saying that women never do dumb things or you don't hear stories like this. But I'm like, I have to say, like, definitely 90% of the stories I hear like this, it's always guys doing dumb shit and dangerous and not, hey, watch this. And I'm
Hold
like,
my beer.
Yeah, I'm like, I just don't have as many dumb stories like that from, like, yeah, you're lucky you're still alive.
All right. So the trio make their way into Undertown. And while traveling through the tunnels, Dresden's spidey sense kicks in. And we're not alone.
Yeah, because they come to like kind of a fork or something, and like Elidee hesitates for a second and picks away, and he's like, yeah, we haven't gone like 5 seconds, and all of a sudden he's like, my hair is like curling, like all my hair's standing up, and like, oh shit. That's cute. He calls her like Tinkerbell at one point too. All right, Tinkerbell, let's go. The skin on the back of his neck tried to crawl up over his head and hide in his mouth. I'm like, that's
gross,
just, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I get the whole like crawling sense, but just for some reason, like your skin coming up and
just a
into your
little
mouth
too
is
far.
just, So, yeah, they start hearing. So yeah, he's like, hey Billy, watch out. He's like all trying to like look around and all spidey sense, and finally makes out. I think they start hearing the noises first.
And they get the creepy, tortured cat if some sadistic weirdo had made them able to talk. And yeah, I imagine that would be unpleasant, especially in the dark.
We meet Grimalkin, a servant of Lady Winter, who is tasked with bringing Dresden to the court safely.
I fucking love Grimalkin, honestly.
But it's like, again, this is a little bit like what you're just saying about sometimes he has time. Like, sometimes he's all, like, sneaky and whatever. And here he's just like, okay, there's something down here with it. After warning Billy, like, we don't know what's down here. Shit could be dangerous. But it's like, he starts getting creeped out, and he's just immediately like, I'm Dresden. I'm the emissary. I don't have time for this shit. Get the fuck out of my way. And just expects them to be like, okay, bye. It's like, doesn't even know yet because he can't see anything. Doesn't know if there's one, doesn't know if there's 1,000, doesn't know if it's big or it's little or it's friendly or it's not. He's like, yeah, I have no time or desire for a fight. Stand clear and let me pass. And then the thing's like,
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
That's exactly the thing that was like, because you don't even know what it is. He just assumes that he's the top dog here, and it's like, everything else here is more powerful than you every single time.
Maybe he's feeling all hot shit because he's not alone like he usually is.
A little bit of a false sense of
So
security with being the emissary.
Or
Definitely.
that. That's true. 'Cause
having
he
a
is on-
werewolf, yeah.
I was going to say, because, he is on his way to see the Winter Lady, so maybe that's part of it. It's like, I'm here on Mab's orders, bitch. Like, but yeah, I was going to say false sense of security either because he's got someone with him for a change, or it's just that you want to look cool in front of the people like you're teaching and training, and like, it's like, I'm not going to admit to Billy that I'm like,
Which is really, I think,
it's okay.
what it is.
It's okay, Billy. I got it. Just watch this. Hey, do you know who I am? And Billy's like, oh my god, Mr. Dresden. He just killed a bunch of werewolves and then went and ate a sandwich.
That was last episode, idiots.
Callback. We're just keeping it all connected. Now, in case anybody jumped in the middle, they have to go back to last episode. If they're going to go back to last episode, they're going to have to start at the beginning.
Excuse me, that's what Romeo is for.
To make them go back to the beginning. That's okay. We just keep it all together. We're just running themes here. So, yeah, I just was like, okay.
Running theme that you're an idiot.
What? I'm brilliant. You already told me that on the way here. You said you were just like me.
I was insulting myself.
You would never insult.
Giving
you would
reasons for my suicide
You would
note.
never insult yourself, so I know it was a compliment.
Damn it.
This episode is turning out so weird that I kind of like want to just not edit it at all and just leave everything. Be like, guess what, folks?
Super bonus
This is
episode.
in the raw. Enjoy. I've added a little music for fun, but that's it. This is what we sound like.
This is it. This is a conversation. Yeah, who was it? Big Dang Moose
No one
asking in
wants
the
a
last
raw. No one wants a raw episode. Okay, use protection.
And I don't think anybody wants to see us on the raw
We
either.
promote safe sex. They can't even get abortions in America. Okay, you shouldn't give them a raw episode.
Too far.
Oh.
Well, now I have to edit this.
But
Just
just
say
that
some
part.
horrible things.
So now we get the voice of this tortured cat. He's like, we know who you are. And Dresden's like, all right, who are you? Who are you? And supposedly a servant of the Winter Lady sent here to guide them. So then Dresden's like, all right, I'm asking again, who are you? And the cat's like, for fuck's sake, I'm fucking telling you again. I just told you. And he's like, hey, don't get bitchy at me. This is how it works. So I was like, I was sent here. And then he's like, he's got all kinds of names. He's like, I am... many names am I called, and many paths have I trod. Hunter I have been, and watcher and guide. He's like, yeah. 3 times I ask, what the fuck's your name? I'm Grimalkin, you asshole. So then Billy's all like, what's this about? And this kind of makes me wonder. So he's giving him the explanation here.
Yeah, a little bit of fairy lore.
Yeah, so he's like, if he has to, he can't, it has to be true. So if he said it. So Billy's like, okay, so... once he said he was sent here to guide you, and you made him repeat it, he has to honor that. And Dresden's like, yeah. But it gives the impression then that I'm like, he could have untruthfully, but the whole thing with the Fae, and this is a being of Fae, so I don't think it applies simply to the she and the humanoid fairies, right? Doesn't it not apply to all of them? Like, could Grimalkin have lied to him? Because he kind of does it with Toot in the first one, but with Toot, he's just getting him to promise, as opposed to just like, yeah, I'll do it and forget about it. He's like, once Toot promises to go get him his information, because, yeah, that's what he said, he's like, I can come back and tell me while I'm sleeping or something like that, right? So I get sort of emphasizing the bond of, like, specifically, but this makes it sound like, not that Toot would necessarily have been lying, but he's like, hey, you extra super duper double dog promise spit swore, right? Whereas, so I don't know, could Grimalkin have lied to him and just said, no, I'm totally here to, my grandma, what big eyes you have, it's fine, come in.
But are you saying that he's not a fairy?
Well, he is part of the fairy.
Because, the first thing he says is fairies aren't allowed to lie.
Yeah.
So that's rule 1.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So Billy's like, okay, so you made him say it because if he hadn't come with good intent, if he was just like, oh, no, I'm totally here to take you. Come on in.
I'm confused by your question, because he does make Grimalkin go through it 3 times. He makes him do the whole thing. That's fairy, right? Like,
yes. But the point is, he makes it do it, so he has to take him. But the point is if he can't lie, how can he say, the lady sent me to escort you? That would be a lie.
Why does Harry make him insist even more on it?
Like, yeah, this is the thing. Like, he does it to get to bind it to him and make sure he has to follow through and do it. But if he can't lie, and that is basically, he doesn't even really word it that strangely, does he? He basically says, my lady sent me to get you. So if that technically can't be a lie, why would you have to bind them that way? You know what I mean?
Okay. I understand where you're coming from now, but I would say what he says exactly is a servant of the Winter Lady sent here to guide you safely through the realm and to her court. Technically, he doesn't say right off the bat, I was sent by the Winter Lady to guide you to her court. I am a servant of the Winter Lady. I'm sent here to guide you to the Winter Court. Doesn't technically say who sent him. It's mostly inferable, but again, with Fae, you can't infer anything.
Yeah,
Gotta make you say it. But then, also with the Fae thing, like, it's a little bit like just... Yeah, like, you've got to say who you are 3 times to be sure about it. Maybe it's a little bit overkill, but, like, he's got to be safe for once.
Like, yeah, I guess that, but it's just because...
Or maybe it's like a learning lesson for Billy. Like, listen, Billy, you've got to say it 3 times, even if it seems like overkill, If me, a wizard, wants to get lazy with it, then I'll get lazy with it. But when I have an audience, I have to make sure I do my due diligence, or it'll be bad train. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe this is why when Billy's like, so if he was telling the truth, he just pissed him off. But, because I was like, there are other points where we see other conversations. Well, even earlier in this book, when Harry's like, Mab asked me to find out who the killer is. Like, we don't know why she thinks it's a murder. And Bob is like, well, did Mab ever say she didn't do it? And Harry's like, no, not directly, right? So I'm like, okay, he could have pinned Mab down specifically to say, did you personally kill Rule? Did you personally kill Rule? Did you personally kill Rule? Okay, I guess you didn't, right? But this is not a lot of ambivalence in this, I'm like, it's like sent to guide you to her court. So I'm like,
he already told the truth. Why are you making him say it 3 times?
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's already made a promise because he can't lie?
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm wondering, right? I'm like, well, if they can't make an untruth, then how are you going to wiggle around that to...
I think it's that they can make an untruth, but not directly. They can't speak an exact lie, but they can obviously speak in a way that is, shitty. But a promise they have to fulfill. So he could have spoken around, the guidance thing or whatever like that. But even if he hadn't been there to do the guiding, once Harry made him say, you're going to guide us 3 times, then even if Grimalkin hadn't wanted to guide them, now he has to guide them 3 times because he's promised it 3 times,
and that's what
right?
I understand. But he starts out to say, sent here to guide you safely through this realm and to her court. So I'm like, so what, as soon as you got safely to the court and then he's going to eat you? But I'm like, he said as much with the 3 promises. I'm like, he can still lead you safely right up to the door and then eat you, so... See?
I don't know. Okay, just move on. I don't know.
I'm just saying, this is what made me stop and wonder.
Yeah. I kind of think I had that thought, too.
They can't lie, but you're making sure he doesn't lie to you.
That's the same thing. Like, he's told you the truth, so...
Yeah, if he can't lie, then he has to...
He's bound. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Anyways, but Billy then does make a point. He's like, so if he wasn't on the up and up, you just saved our butts. But if he was, you just, insulted him and pissed him off. And Dresden's like, I'm not here to make friends. He's like, you haven't even heard of diplomacy, have you? And all I can think about, once again now, with Critical Role in my life, is be like, I'll introduce you to diplomacy. That is exactly Dresden's type of diplomacy.
Literally, yeah. Diplomacy is a weapon, a gun.
A big gun.
Oh. Got it.
Yeah. Name is his gun, everything.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in all fairness, he couldn't have, because diplomacy did come into existence after this was written. But nonetheless, I'm like, it's all depending on your interpretation of diplomacy, Billy. Speak softly and carry a big-ass gun. So he gets little glowy footprints.
I love that, the glow-in-the-dark footprints. Like,
Yeah. Which is kind of
and
cool.
if they're feline prints, then they're cute.
He's like, no, but Cheshire Cat.
They
but
are,
evil.
but they're not. Yes. Well, the Cheshire
Cheshire
Cat was
Cat is
kind of
evil.
debatable. He's
Well, yeah.
neutral,
Most cats
good,
really.
chaotic. Well, yeah, right. But yeah, they're in like this pitch black tunnel.
Cheshire
with,
Cat was sadistic.
I think that also applies here.
Grimalkin is like a cougar-y, fucked up animal.
Also very sadistic. But it does say the footprints are like kind of like a cat, but more spread out and bigger and not quite right. So unfortunately, they're probably not cute little bean prints. Yeah, because that would have been like, but no, it's still just enough.
Glowing cat paws just sounded cool.
It does, right? But no, it's kind of creepy because he probably still has. Oh, and Elidee at this point, as soon as, which is kind of funny too, that she wouldn't. Because again, I sort of suspect all fairies to have some sort of spidey sensor, but I guess Toot never knows Harry's hiding around the corner waiting to trap him, so maybe not. But yeah, it's Harry's spidey sense goes off, and then they hear like the little, and then Elidee freaks the fuck, goes zoop, and hides in his hair, and then she's like, "I'm out." She's like, she's so tiny. She's like, I can just literally hide out in the jungle of your hair, and they can't see me. So yeah, he's got a little bit whatever he's putting off because I think he's still using his pentacle, and then yeah, it's just pitch black, and then these glowing wrong cat prints, and you can't see anything else about where you're going or like where the walls are or where the ceiling is or yeah. So sadly, not cute little bean.
And they finally make it to a set of doors with these carvings on it, this beautiful garden scene with fairies and lushness and some skeletons. Yeah, I love that. I was like, oh, did not see that coming.
No, at first he's like, yeah, it just looked like a nice garden scene, like you say, vines and flowers and, you know, and then he's like, as I start getting closer and looking more, and then it's like, yeah, spaced out empty eyes of people in like fields of poppies and like skeletons and corpses and then the fae just la-di-da dancing in around and like hiding, you know, this little like fairy eyes peeking out between. It's like, oh, it could have been so good, and it just went
humanity,
so
just
bad.
fertilizer.
Right, little playthings.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I liked it.
Kind of cool and well again, right? Because you're like, oh, fairies, not your friendly Tinkerbell fairies. These are the Grimalkin and the Grum fairies.
Well, it's good because it is a little bit back. It's back to the whole Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan thing, where it's like, yeah, like the cutesy little fairies and fun, mystical, like everything does want to kill you when you turn your back on it. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
right. It's not
But we're having fun, okay?
right. And then Billy's all like, oh, they're not really subtle, and he's like, summer's better at it than winter, but they all can be when it suits them. And it's like, which at the same time is kind of funny because he just went over the whole thing at the funeral about how, like, hard as they try to blend in, they can't. But yet, some things they are really good and can be really subtle about. I don't know. But yeah, and then Billy, this is kind of, again, a good thing. He's like, you know what bugs me? He never said he'd lead us back out. And then, yeah, they get... So he decides to pound on the door, and after a moment it opens.
And the fanfare replies. How fun is that?
Right? Yeah. I don't know what I'd expected from the Winter Court, but it wasn't big band music. So yeah, they step into a scene from like World War II, and apparently all the costumes are very precise and authentic down to like the day and the month. And I'm like, when did Harry become such a war buff that he knows how accurate these... Again, is this like in the hindsight of writing the book or whatever, that when he like, you know, described it all back to Bob was like, that's exactly what they looked like. Like Harry has a fucking clue how authentic this stuff was.
I've never met men, though. They're just really obsessed with war.
Well, that's true. And
Just like it never ends. They all want to talk about like war and tanks and shit.
I guess maybe that's it. Maybe Harry is just a secret war buff like everybody else.
I missed the war part. I thought it was just that the because it said it was in the hotel, a hotel in the style of the 20s, and that everyone was dressed in 1940s attire. I didn't catch the war.
Well, some of them are in uniforms of like the Army and Navy and stuff.
Oh, I totally missed that part. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Missed the
It's
uniforms.
1940s. 50% of the outfits were just Army regalia.
Yeah. Yeah. Dressed in regalia of the 1940s. Stockings, knee-high skirts, dress uniforms of both the Army and the Navy that looked authentic to the month and year. It just says dress uniforms. It does not say American.
It doesn't say American.
These could have been British.
But
They could have
It's
been
19
German. This is the winter
oh yeah, I was
court.
gonna say I'm like it's the 1940s in America, but I was like, wait a second, it's the winter court, so I guess yeah.
For the 1940s in America. They just skipped that decade. I'm sorry. 1940s, we didn't have that in America.
No, because
That's
they're
what
in
you said.
Chicago. So
Which is in America.
you'd think that they would be dressed as Americans.
Yes, you would. But it was
Is the-
just funny because what you said was they didn't have the 1940s in America.
I don't know what I was trying to say, but that's not it.
Did they have the war in America? Did they? I don't know. Anyways, and I think I feel like Billy says something too on the way out that he specifically mentions World War II or somebody does. But anyways, yeah, there is a theme to it that way. So he cautions Billy some more again. Don't let the music get to you again. All these fancy, beautiful things spinning around and dancing and the music, all of that all of that can do bad. I mean, even like he said, when Billy showed back up after trying to get the scent on the Disneyland funeral crew, he's like comments that like the fairies all going at them. that's what they were.
The Disneyland funeral crew.
Well, he saw a picture of them at Disneyland, and then he ran into them at a funeral. So we don't know anything more about that.
Juxtaposition, really. I'm like, what would
It all
the
comes-
Disneyland funeral patrol look like?
It all comes back to that thing that you can't. Apparently, you're not allowed. If anybody has like a heart attack and dies at Disney, they're not allowed to proclaim them dead on site because it's the happiest place on earth. So you have to get that shit off the property. So technically, they're not dead until they leave Disneyland.
They're just having a nap.
Yeah, something.
Do you know I was conceived at Disneyland?
I mean, not directly.
Was it on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride?
Love Tunnel.
Come on, people. You know, it was the teacups.
Dirty.
There's not room for any.
Exhibition.
Not on the grounds of Disneyland. Most likely during that trip we took, but not on. It was so, oh my god, it was so fun. I remember how old she was, 9, 10, 11.
Sexy Anaheim.
Right? But it was funny. She was talking about something about having a label and being like, it should just say like made in the USA or something like that. And I was like, well, technically you could have a label that said made in the. And she was like, what? It was like
Manufactured and
like, so
processed.
So yeah, so he's like, don't, so anyways, I was gonna say when Billy comes back to see the fairies all demolishing the pizza, and he's like, it's kind of beautiful in a Jaws kind of way, and Harry even then was like, yeah, don't look for too long, like fairy lights can fuck with humans, right? So now you're even more so, you're not even just like a byproduct of fairies, you know, this is like the whole shebang with the higher ups and the whole and actual music and dancing and very not cool. So
Very not cool.
Very.
So not cool.
so not cool.
Super not
Completely
cool.
Super. Super duper double dog spit swear uncool. So yeah.
I need to add a little ding.
So apparently all these whirling fancy dancers would make like the people that you typically see on fashion magazines look ugly.
Because they are.
And then we noticed the band
Then he notices the band, who by comparison
are not that pretty.
look deformed. They're just average humans, but now they look like deformed and hideous next to all these fancy.
Fucking rude as hell.
They're chained up and they're disheveled.
His words, not mine. Yes, they're playing excellently and keeping, but he does notice that after a bit, that they're like, off to one side of the dance floor. And yes, every single one of them has a little manacle and a chain. So they're all prisoners, but none of them at the moment seem to be particularly upset about that. They're just giving their all and playing their little hearts out.
Like a fucking professional, finally.
Right?
God, it's so hard to find good help.
Yeah. We don't have time for all those stories today. So,
And one of the trumpet soloist takes a stand.
yeah.
His last stand.
His last stand, yes, because everybody else sits down. Bit by bit, they all. And, yeah. Just, I don't know. Have you ever played trumpet, Tanzan?
Yes, it kind of makes my head feel like it's going to explode anyway. So I was like, maybe that was an aneurysm.
That's probably what it was, yeah. I don't know. But, I guess there's definitely worse ways, but again, just this feeling of, like, exactly going all, like, the lightheaded and the pressure and the, suddenly he's trying to breathe and he can't, and, yeah, I don't know, I guess maybe just because it's not very sudden, it's just a little bit more prolonged. I'm like, oh, yuck, don't like, but yeah. He just keeps playing and 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 playing. And then finally it starts to get, like, finally he starts because his face is going through all, like, these color changes and he's still just playing away. And then finally the music starts to falter a little bit. And then he, like, literally, like, manages to wrench the trumpet away and is, like, trying to breathe and still can't. And eventually just, right. And then out comes... Sorry, go ahead.
A woman slightly resembling Mab checks out the fallen man, and we get this very typical Dresden description of a woman. She looked young enough to make a man feel guilty for thinking the wrong thoughts, but old enough to make it difficult not to. Her hair had been bound into long dreadlocks, each of them dyed a different shade, ranging from deep lavender to pale blues and greens of pure white, so that it almost seemed like her hair had been formed from glacial ice. She wore leather pants of dark blue, laced and opened up on the outside seams from calf to hip. She wore a t-shirt tight enough to show off the tips of her breasts, straining against the fabric, framing the words, "Off with his head."
Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
Speaking of...
She had hacked the shirt off at the top of the ribcage, leaving a pale flesh exposed, along with a glitter of silver flashing at her navel. I'm like, it's all about them boobs, man.
Right. And
Straining breasts.
Although the pants do sound kind of cool with the whole, like, dark blue leather and the one that are all just, like, laced up. All this. I couldn't wear that right now.
Carly has jeans like that.
Yes. Yeah. And they are kind of... But anyways.
Her.
Punk edge.
Right. I just get, like, this, like, almost, like, deep, like, metallic blue, like cars and stuff, and they've got, like, not quite the navy, but I'm like, this is what I picture, like, these dark blue shiny leather with, like, that sort of semi-iridescent metallic car sheen or something. But yeah, she's a psycho. So yeah, she goes over and straddles the dead guy and kisses the dead guy.
As you do.
As you do. And then, there you see, don't let it be said I don't fulfill my bargains or my promises or whatever. She's like, you said you'd die to play that well. Now you have. So
this is Lady Maeve.
Yeah. Or Maeve.
Mav? Is it
No,
Mav?
it's Maeve. But somebody reads it as Mav and it sounds...
And so I say Mav.
Do you?
I say Mav.
Oh, no, it's Maeve.
I like Mav.
I don't. It bugs me. My mom also had a friend way back when whose name was Maeve. So that's the other reason I think it just sounds wrong to me. I'm actually...
I had a coworker, Maeve.
Yeah, right. So you're like, do you know?
Who was also kind of a badass. Oh. Didn't want to get on her bad side either.
So was this lady, but for an entirely different reason. Just like, she was so nice. She was like unstoppable, And she had the most beautiful snow. She didn't have gray hair. She didn't have silver hair. She had like pure white hair. And she wasn't that terribly old when I was little either, but yeah. But she was a lovely person. In both personality and... But anyways. So anyways.
Maeve takes her place on the silver throne and acknowledges that they have a visitor.
Finally.
Just one person, not two visitors. Just one. Poor Billy's not actually in...
All of Harry's friends, they get used to it. It's like the whole world zeroes in on Harry all the time, and they're just like, I don't know, his fucking sidekick. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he's the only important one.
Although it would be kind of funny if it's just like, you know, it's like, because, like, you know, he's got a new sidekick every book. It's like sometimes he's with the werewolves, and sometimes he's with, like, Michael, and sometimes he's with Murphy, and sometimes he's with other people, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny if, like, every time the bad guy's like, who the fuck is this now?
It's like, that's why they
That's
don't
it.
bother.
I'm not even
like,
learning
can
their
you
names.
just- Yeah, right? It's like,
Harry and the
I'm
posse.
sorry, you haven't been here long enough. Until you survive, like, 3 books, I'm not even.
Yeah, exactly. What's even the point?
Right. I worked at a place like that one time where
They were killing the employees.
not killing, but I feel like it was a driver. I'm trying to remember, or maybe it was the site services. But anyways, basically, yeah, he was kind of like, yeah, don't take offense. He's like, I don't really bother learning anybody's names unless they last like more than 3 months or whatever. Because the turnaround was just so like that. He's like, yeah, I just know. He's like, if you make it, if you last and stay here a significant time, then I'll learn your name. I'm like, oh, harsh but fair. So anyways, we have a visitor, just the only important one, and whoever
Just
he
one.
brought along as his tag-along this time. And so, yeah, she finally invites him up, so they have to go up between all these other sheep that have now taken seats at the table. Everybody's emptied off the desk. Well, yeah, she graciously gives the musicians a little break to get their strength back. So that they don't all instantly drop dead in this moment. Just one at a time. So he makes his way up there and basically just starts out. She's like, he's like, Lady Winter, I presume. And she's like, indeed. And he's like, you know in what capacity I'm here? And she's like, naturally. He's like, great. Did you arrange the murder of the summer night?
Like, it doesn't offend her, thank God, like, at this point. Stars, she murmured, I adore mortals.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, you weren't kidding when Billy was like, are you sure you should have done that to the Grimalkin? And he's like, I'm not here to make friends. He's like, yeah, so did you do it? Was it you? And
All piss and vinegar, no honey.
yeah, right. And of course, silence throughout the court. Like, oh my God, how'd you? And yes, thankfully Maeve just laughs. Like, oh, you're so precious. I can't just tell you that.
That information is pricey, bitch.
Yeah. Harry's like, yeah. She's like, oh, you're so cute. And Harry's like, yeah, great. Did you do it?
Yeah, deflect. Let's make a deal.
Yes, and that's it. She starts, and he's like, yeah, you're debating. So that's
See, okay, so let's go back real quick. When we say, like, they did the whole Bob and blah, blah, blah talk where they decided that literally the only people who could have had the power to get rid of rule quietly and, like, you know,
As it was done.
has to have been the Queens or the Winter Knight.
Or Elaine.
Or the emissary.
Just because she exists in there. Yeah,
so-
she knew about it.
Basically, like, that puts on the record, obviously, 3 Winter Queens, 3 Summer Queens, 2 emissaries, and 1 Knight.
Emissaries?
Emissaries.
We haven't got to the emissions.
emissions? What?
The emissions are coming up. The emissaries. Like a commissary, only different.
Counting Harry, right? And obviously we know Harry didn't do it, and we know Rule didn't kill himself, so this gives us 8.
I don't know. The
8.
police think he killed himself.
quiet.
They marked it
Be
suicide.
quiet. We've got 8 suspects, right?
Yeah.
So Harry obviously has to go through all of them to double check this, right?
Yeah.
Which makes it obviously...
We've read the book so far.
Yep. So you just got the Queens, right? But that makes it almost like even worse that like clearly Raoul then did have a fuck ton of power if the only people who could have taken him out the way he did is a queen. And he was still all alone in his funeral. And it's like, you've got that much power. And the queens were still not worth our time.
But
bitch.
apparently you didn't handle it right because you still got yourself dead. So fuck you.
Yeah, I guess so. You're still a little
They're
bitch. Fair enough.
brutal. There.
But still, it's like, it's not even like you were like too low priority. It's like clearly you, as a knight, you are somewhat high up there. Or like the queen lends you a modicum of power that makes you fucking awesome.
Yes,
But-
you are kind of right up there in the inner circle of, yeah, poor Rule. Just so fickle, those fairies. Yeah, so she says, like, okay, well, I can't just give you that, you know, like, aces for just trying to straight up approach, but no, that information is worth something, and if it's worth something, I'm going to get something for it. And he's like,
It's too powerful.
Right. right, it means that you want me to answer the question. You're going to have to, or no, it means if you want me to answer, you're going to have to pay for it. And she's like, so what's it worth to you? And he's like, yeah, I assume you have, what is it? Oh, it doesn't get into in the next one. Okay, I was going to comment on the... Yeah. So, yes. So, he's like... It just ends. So, he's like, yeah, I assume you have something. That's why you sent someone and gave a safe passage, even though you still made him say it 10 times, even though he wouldn't have been there and couldn't lie to you. But okay. And then, yes. Yeah, you're quick. I like that. I'm like, well, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes Harry gets there in the end. But yes, please, sit down. Let's make a deal. And all I can think of is a game show. With costumes. Let's make a deal. Do you remember that one? Well,
I've heard of it,
but that's the one where I think they all started dressing. I don't know how it started, but eventually it became where people would always show up in like wacky, crazy costumes and things, hoping they would like stand out and get picked to be on it. Because that was kind of like Price is Right. You got like picked from the audience and stuff. But I'm pretty sure it's let's make a deal. And so people would just start getting crazy and wacky in order to be noticed. So let's make a deal. Over to you, Bob.
What a weird episode. I'm sorry.
It kind of was. But that's okay.
It's like we fell through the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. Just hitting our head on every stupid object in the tunnel.
You might want to insert this at the beginning of the episode. People know what to expect.
I kind of actually think that I'm going to edit very little from this.
No drugs involved in the making of this episode.
There wasn't
surprisingly.
As we pointed out at the top, we were all sober. Despite that. While it worked out less in Tansen's favor.
What's that, pussycat?
Whoa,
meow,
whoa,
meow,
whoa,
meow,
whoa.
meow, meow. I went for the literal.
Have you seen the John Mulaney episode?
The what?
Oh, you're watching the Salt and Pepper Diner now.
Wait, let me do the out.
Yeah.
Let me.
I don't need headphones for that.
I did sort of forget that's why. I'm like, just can't. I don't remember how we do this.
I guess this one's gonna be killer solo. We're not blowing hot and cold yet.
Oh,
we could put it in.
That was. No, that was 2. We did 2 chapters.
Like the first 20 minutes was just random.
Ice cream truck. Woo.
Like, I'm not sure we have really actually more than like 20 minutes of content. But I really actually kind of just want to leave a lot of that in.
Oh, why the heck?
And just preface it with,
Yeah, just
hey
throw in
everybody,
my
this
warning
is just
here.
a little special for you guys. We're getting a little silly, and this is actually really how we roll. This is what things are like without the magic of editing.
Welcome to
Enjoy!
a limitedly edited
All right.
episode. They all sound like this until Tanzan Magic, but there was no Tanzan Magic this week because she just wants you to see how fucking stupid the other 2 are.
Just so you could all appreciate how much actual work. Just in case you didn't think there was much. No, this is really how much work goes into this. Okay. Now do you see what you're getting in the final product? Thank you.
This concludes our episode 9.11, Killer Solo. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
We sure are.